Hi, welcome to Chad's Silversmithing. It's getting close to St. Patrick's Day 2026, so I thought I'd do something sort of Irish themed, and one of the symbols that's oftentimes used to represent Ireland is the harp. So I'm going to make a little harp pendant, and we'll see how it turns out. It should be fun. I've never done a harp before, so let's get started. So these are a few of my design idea sketchbooks that you can get on the merch store. This particular one has gauge to inches to millimeters conversion chart on the back, which I find pretty useful. This one has fractions of an inch to decimals to millimeters. I've already filled these ones up. The one I'm using now has some information about different soldering flow temperatures and stuff on the back. And it's got a little bit more vibrant cover than those ones. So the key feature for me on these is well, two things. One, it's a great way to keep track of all of your projects from the past in case you want to revisit them. And two, it has this nice dot matrix in the background, which I find to be really helpful to sketching up drawings as far as keeping things sort of proportional. So get yourself one or two of these. I think they're great to keep track of your projects. It's nice to be able to go back and see how you did something before. So this is kind of what I had in mind. I've got a little bail left over from a previous video where I was making some little bails in advance, so I'll just use that for that. I'm going to cut, I think, this piece here and this piece here out of some sheet that I rolled out from an ingot I cast. It's about 16 gauge right now. So I traced these here, and we'll cut them out with the saw. That'll be one of the first things we do. I think for this here, I'm going to use some of this 10 gauge square that started out as 2.6 millimeters thick and ended up being about 0.85 after I rolled it through the rolling mill a little bit. And that'll we'll try and anneal that and then curve that a little bit and maybe taper it a bit. And I think I'm going to solder just on the surface to give it some detail and something sparkly on it. This piece of 18 gauge round wire that I just kind of hammered with the edge of my chasing hammer, which is right here, to give it kind of a rough texture, and that'll kind of sparkle and catch the light. So we'll decorate it there. I'm going to attempt to make a nice little kind of spirally looking thing up here to solder to this piece. And while I was thinking, I think it might be nice to have a border on this right here. So after we cut that out, I'm going to take this piece of 14 gauge square, anneal it, and then we'll set it upright as a border going all the way around there before we try and make this little piece of spirally kind of thing. I did a little test to see if I could do it. And where did I put that? So I think I can get it. This is not pickled up or anything, but I think if I do something like that, it'll work out okay. I might need to make the loops a little bit smaller, but that worked out okay, soldering it down, so we'll see. Hopefully, since I practiced once, this one will come out even neater than that one. We'll see, I guess. I'm going to use 20 gauge round wire for that, and then we'll solder it right down to that. See, I think for the wires, for the strings on the harp, I'm just going to do some 18 gauge round wire. And then the end of this here, I'm going to put just a piece of, I'm going to take some silver scrap and make a little silver ball out of it, flatten the bottom, and then we'll solder it down on top of this right here. So it has kind of a three-dimensionality to it. Probably 18 gauge loop up here to hook the bail to, and that should be it. So I think we'll give it a try and see how it turns out. What's the worst thing that could happen? So let's go saw these things out first to start. Okay, so go smooth those out with the file a little bit. Okay, I got those cleaned up a little bit. I want to make a little ball for the end of this one, so I got some scrap here. Let's put it on charcoal block. And let's make a ball and see how big it is, and then if we need to, we'll add a little more to make it bigger. Not big enough. Still just a tiny bit too small. Looks pretty good. Similar in size. You never want to pick up balls while they're still hot. They're reddish, so we wait until it turns black before we cool it off. I figured this out the other day when I was trying to figure out a way to hold something small like this. Use your miter vise jig to stick a little tiny ball in there. Just don't have it sticking out just a skosh. That was a pretty good guess. Okay, let's solder that on there. If you haven't been to my channel before, here's some information about my torch and my solder and my flux. So I think I'm just going to sweat a little bit of this hard silver sheet solder onto there, and then we'll flux everything and heat the whole thing. I need to make sure I'm putting this on the right side. I think it goes on this side. It would be very much like me to do it on the wrong side. I have been known to do things like that. So I do something called pick soldering sometimes, and that's where you pick up a little bit of solder on the end of your soldering pick. You can place it right where you want it. It's kind of nice. Let's add a little bit more, make sure you get a good solid joint in there. It's a nice way to put solder exactly where you want it. So if you're interested, I have a good video about it there. It's one of those skills that once you master it, it makes things a lot easier. Let's see if we can't get the outside edge on this piece here. So I went ahead and annealed this off camera so that it'd be easier to bend. And let's file the end nice and flat. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and make this sharp bend here with the round nose pliers. I'm not going to put the end of it right at the end because I think that'll make it look less good. You know what I think I'm going to do in order to get this tight around here? I'm going to solder it in one spot right here underneath that, so it kind of tacks it in place. It should be easier to get this to bend tightly around there then, I think. Let's try that and see. Let's flux this and then put this on top of this little piece of solder. See if we can get that to stick down. Alright, so I think I'm going to solder it more of the way around now. And then when we get that soldered, it'll be easier to have this close to the exact measurement, and then we can probably solder it right to it. So let's see if we can do that. Sometimes if you want a real precise mark to know where to cut something, using a Sharpie and a little something to scratch it with gets you pretty close. I'll try to cut that off pretty close with my saw. I'll be right back. Okay, we'll solder that together, and like I said, I'm prone to soldering things upside down apparently. And I did that with this one because I need it to be this way, and I did it this way instead. So let's solder that, and then I'll flip it over and we'll get it heated up enough and we'll push it down. So. Alright, let's take a gander at that and see how it looks. Okay, now let me find, I had a little piece of 20 gauge, and I think that'll be fine enough to do this. We don't need too long of a kind of braid thing, but I'm going to cut it longer than I need. We'll just cut off whatever we don't use. So I'm just going to use my round nose pliers like this. Okay, so we're going to use a little tiny piece of solder to solder that closed. You can see those are quite a bit smaller here, so I'm just going to solder it closed like that. Hopefully without melting this wire. When you're doing a little skinny wire like this, it's easy to melt them. So. Okay, got that soldered, so that's not going to move. We need to just kind of do it again. I want it to be a little bit kind of flattened out. Let's solder the next one, so I'm just kind of going over and over again. You want to be able to deposit just a little tiny piece of solder in there without Getting everything all sloppy looking. So let's cut this off. That's pretty good, I think, actually. So let's do this. I want the bottom to be pretty flat, so we get a good seam soldered down. So we're going to try and do this with just a little bit. That looks pretty good. Now I'm going to file the bottom flat, just a skosh. Now I'm going to pick just a little tiny bit of solder in a few spots on here, hopefully enough to flow along the whole length. So I'm going to use pretty small ones again. Well, you know what? Let's get this sweated on here, and then I'm going to clean this up a little bit. Maybe pickle it for a little while, so we get a nice clean looking final piece here. Okay, I got that pickled up a little bit. Let's solder it on, see how it goes. I also have this piece right here, which we soldered the little ball onto, and that's going to kind of go right there. So I think let's solder those two together. I like the little spiraling part. I wasn't 100% sure I could pull that off, you know, but it seems to have worked okay. And then I'm going to mark this and cut this just a little bit long. Rather have too much than not enough, right? Alright, where is that little piece of textured 8? This is textured 18. I feel like maybe I should file the back flat just a little bit. It's not too bad. What do you think? Let's see if we can pick a little solder on the back of that, and then we'll add it to this. We'll give it a try anyway. Okay, I think we got a good seam on there. That's starting to look harp-like. Alright, let's find some 18 gauge. Let's solder that. Still got some of the little ones floating around here. There's a few. There's a lot more mass in the overall piece than there is in this wire that I'm trying to solder in, so most of the heat needs to go on the bigger piece. You kind of avoid the wire itself, because the wire will get hot enough just by being in proximity here. All the rest of this stuff needs a little more. Okay, one down, like 4 more to go. Okay, if I can get one more in there before I screw it up, I'll be good. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I think let's mount a little ring up here. I like to hang kind of like that. So let's make a little, maybe see if I can find a piece of. Oh, we'll just use some 18, I guess. Any of you harpists out there can correct my construction of this harp, I'd appreciate it. Being as I'm not a harp expert. But I think, I feel like someone looking at it would recognize it as a harp. And if I've done that, I've probably succeeded. I thought about doing a lyre. Maybe I'll do one of those sometime. But I think for St. Patrick's Day, I think probably a regular harp is more appropriate, I would say. Alright, let's see if we can pick some in there. That's soldered shut. If you're worried about accidentally soldering stuff, you can always use some easy or something if you want to. Okay, well I'm going to get that cleaned up and polished, and I'll show you the final result. So. Alright, got things pretty much finished up. I retextured this a little bit because I polished away some of that. I did have my bail break on me, so I'm going to have to go back and resolder that one again. But I put it together anyway just so you could see how it looked and so I could take some pictures. So we'll put it on the chain. There's our little harp pendant. I think we kind of matched what we were shooting for here. Pretty good. So I will get some better pictures of that and put it at the end. Tell me what you think. I'm curious whether you like it or not, how you might do it if you were going to do it, any other ideas you might have about it, or if you even like it at all. Okay, well that was the Harp Pendant. I hope you enjoyed that piece. If you did, make sure to hit the like button before you go. And I would love it if you'd go visit my main channel page. I have over 600 videos now. I do 3 per week, one on Tuesday, one on Thursday, and one on Saturday. So there's plenty of content constantly coming out. So there's a lot of variety there, lots of skills, different levels, and tons of projects. So check it out. I'd love it if you'd subscribe to my channel. That doesn't cost you anything, and it helps me out a lot. So before we go, I wanted to thank a couple of groups of people. First, my patrons over on Patreon are my core group of supporters, and they not only provide me with some financial help, they've created this really lovely environment over there with a lot of cool people who know a lot of stuff. And so we can all kind of pick each other's brains and share resources and stuff. It's really nice. So thank you for making it that way, and thank you for your support. The other group are my YouTube subscribers, and we just passed 27,200, which is amazing. Thank you for that. I really do love the nice comments that you guys leave, and I appreciate the input and the suggestions and sharing your own stories and telling me how you do things. I always like to hear and learn stuff from you, so thanks for that. Thank you also for the kind contributions, the people who bought my ebooks, merch from my merch store, people who buy me coffees or super thanks. All of that stuff makes my channel sustainable, and I couldn't do it without your help, so thank you for that. Finally, don't forget to hit the video description down below. There's information about this video itself, but there's also some important links. There's a link to my Patreon if you want to find out more about that community over there and the various tiers of membership. It's a great place with a lot of cool people, like I said. There's a link to my shop there as well, where you can get yourself one of those nice design idea sketchbooks that I talked about at the beginning, as well as some other cool merch over there. So check it out and get yourself a present or two. And finally, there's a link to my newest ebook, which is a guide to 2025's tutorials I did. There's roughly 170 or 180 pages that each link to a tutorial from last year. And in addition to the link, they have a picture of the sketch that I drew prior to doing it, a picture of the final outcome, a list of materials you need to make it. If there's a stone in it, it has stone information, difficulty rating, and some notes I took about the project outside of the video itself. So things like, did I learn something from it? I almost always learn something new when I try something different. Would I do it differently, or did I like the outcome or not? Everything doesn't always turn out the way you hope, so I try to be honest about that when I write up the notes about these things. So it's a great way to have a ton of projects and a really nice way to support my channel. And you can even get the past 3 years, 2025, 2024, and 2023 as a package deal. That comes at $15 off the overall price of the 3 if you bought them separately, so that's a good deal. So treat yourself, get yourself a whole bunch of projects to keep you busy for a long time. All right, well, thanks for watching today. Take care. Happy silversmithing.